Tom Delohery's stunning exhibit, Nowhere to Go and No One Who Seemed to Care, is being shown here at Pier 21's Harborside Gallery. It's the first time his work has been shown in North America, and we're very pleased to have him this morning on Breakfast Television. Tom, first of all, welcome to Canada.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Let's start with a little background into your work. Sure. It was a trip to a concentration camp that really changed the course of your life. Can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, I was doing my second year of my MFA course in Belfast, University of Ulster, and they give you £200 back then, this is 97, to go somewhere in Europe, and I chose the camps. So I went over there and went into Auschwitz I, which is much like a museum, and then I walked 20 minutes away to Auschwitz-Birkenau, which was the main killing camp where 1.25 million people were supposed to have perished. Well, they'd perished. And the scale just absolutely, it actually knocked my knees from under me. I walked down one end of the camp, because I went through this main large gatehouse, walked down one of the camp, looked back, and this huge building is tiny. And after that, my knees just went wobbly, and you know, I have never been the same since. You know, it took me about 1.5 years after that, working with oil and canvas. Like, I used to do these large, enormous pieces, and then when I tried to do that with this large, enormous subject, it didn't seem to fit. So then I started working small and, you know, like working visual ideas, and they just became finished pieces. So this is what you have here today.
One of the things I notice about the work is, and something that stands out are these bright colors, these beautiful colors. And normally you would think of them as something, those colors as in works of beauty. And there is a certain beauty to the work, but it also, for me, it brings almost violent images with that contrast in color. Is that intentional?
Well, whether it's intentional or not, I mean, it's hard not to be influenced by my art history background. I mean, I was always taken very much by Soutin's work, and he was a Jewish artist on the run from Nazis during the war, and he used to do these pieces of meat, which were absolutely, the colors were beautiful, but there was a violence about them, and I thought, this is interesting, you know, can you do something that deals with violence, but yet in a beautiful way, and in a way that makes people uncomfortable. And I remember seeing, there was a really good documentary on BBC a couple of years ago, where they actually, an American GI, this footage he'd taken in color, was hidden in an attic for years. They cleaned it up and they showed it, and suddenly people started looking at the Holocaust in a different sort of way. They started to see color where they didn't expect it, you know, and it gave it a certain sense of life. So I think people feel comfortable with black and white because they say, oh, that's history, that happened in the past. I can detach from that. But as soon as you start introducing color and you start introducing even beauty beside this terror, this jewel thing, it makes people uncomfortable. And even the size, I found that people, this is kind of the size is most people see reality in their TV screen. You know, it's about that size, and you'd be surprised people, because it's not that big, they feel they can approach it, but then as soon as they get too close and they start to see other things happening in the work, then they start to feel uncomfortable again.
I think dealing with the Holocaust, you have a unique responsibility there as well, especially not having a Jewish background, an Irish Catholic.
What happened was, as soon as I wanted and started to do work about it, I realized that I needed to contact people who had a vested interest in it, and it's a strange thing to say, but I contacted, let's say, the Jewish Museum of New York, Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. And I'll tell you, the only main reason for doing it was, okay, it was good to get feedback from them, but I just wanted to kind of, out of respect, say, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm coming from. If you have a problem with it, I'd like to hear about it. It wasn't going to stop me, but I would, you know, just out of respect to say, this is what I'm doing. And they were very, very, very positive, great feedback. A lot of people are curious. But I mean, I've been over to Israel back in 2004, and my main reason for going there was to interview Holocaust survivors one-on-one, sit down with them, listen to their story, and then say, well, by the way, this is what I'm doing. Now, for me, they're the real critics. You know, people have problems with the work, that's their problem. For me, to have sat down with people who lived through it, and for them to kind of be curious, to be excited.
Those are the opinions that really matter.
I mean, to be kind of, you know, as I say, yeah, why an Irishman? What, you know, And one of the survivors, I met her, first of all, twice in Israel, and then she came to Ireland. She said, Tom, you live in such a beautiful place. Why are you interested in what happened to us? It didn't make sense to her. But at the end of the day, these were human beings. I mean,
it's a Jewish story, but above that, it's a human story for sure.
Story, yeah.
Tom, Delohery, thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you here. We're proud to have your work here in Halifax. Tom's work, Nowhere to Go and No One Who Seemed to Care, opened yesterday at the Harborside Gallery at Pier 21 in conjunction with the beginning of Holocaust Education Week in Nova Scotia. It will run here until November 8th, so you still have plenty of time to get down here and see it for yourself.